You know what's always bothered me, like, a lot? Everyone's pathological obsession with losing weight, when in reality, most people don't actually need to lose weight. Let me explain. This is actually my first Monster of the day. So, that first sip, everybody keeps asking me, what is the actual flavor of the white Monster? You got the green one, that's kind of a watermelon flavor, and then you've got the passion fruit one, and you've got other flavors of Monsters that have actual flavors. The white Monster, though, it's just Zero Ultra. That's supposedly the flavors. Now, Zero Ultra is not an actual flavor. So what is the flavor? I think it's joy. Pure joy. Anyways, we're going to talk about why you don't need to lose weight. And why do people feel so obsessed with losing weight? And stick around at the end, because we're going to find out if you're smarter than the average voter. I hope you are, because you probably vote. Hopefully you vote, and hopefully when you're voting, you're making informed decisions while you vote. Because I believe not just in gains, but in brains. Not just in muscle, but in the mind. In fact, I especially believe in the mind. Listen, you're going to be much more well-equipped. You're going to be much more well-equipped to take on life if you're smart, as opposed to just being strong. But you need to be strong too, so here we are. But how the fudge are you supposed to get strong if you're not putting on muscle? And you want to know the crazy thing about muscle? It weighs a lot. Here's something that bothers me. When I see before and after pictures, I don't have a whole lot of before and after pictures from clients and from people that I work with, because the before and after pictures are almost always really shallow. They're not fake. They're not like, I don't think that people who put before and after pictures on their websites or their workout programs, I don't think that they're lying. I think that this person actually did get the results that you can see. But here's the point. The results are meaningless. When I see most of these before and after pictures, almost all of them really, whether it's men or women, it's always the same. You'll have a guy, he's like standing shirtless in his bathroom, and he looks just kind of like a normal guy. Might be a little chubby, might be a little, or a little skinny, whatever. And then the after picture is always almost exactly the same, but it looks like he just lost a little bit of weight. That's it. You can kind of see you can see a little bit more ab, a little bit more definition in the arms. But again, that's just from losing weight. There's no actual change to his body other than he dropped his body fat. Now, that's not bad necessarily, but I think there's a better way. I think there's a better way to go about it than just trying to lose weight on the scale. By the way, that's easy. Do you want to know how easy it is to just lose weight? Eat less food. That's it. It's as simple as that. Just stop eating food. Or just eat less of it. And you'll lose weight. Now, how you go about that, that's where it gets tricky. Because, we like to eat and we get hungry. But to just lose a little bit of weight and look a little bit leaner, no, that's not useless. But did you get stronger? Did you get stronger? Are you moving better? Are you more mobile? Are you more coordinated? Did you gain anything other than just watching the number on your scale go down? If the answer is no, and you're going to probably have to stop and think about that, if the answer is in fact no, you probably haven't even thought about that. Because you've been so obsessed with the number on the scale. You just want to see it go down. You don't really care about, you're in your mind, in everybody's minds, like I'm being accusatory. That's bad public speaking. I need to do the thumb thing and say we. When we. That'll appeal to more people. When we think about getting in shape, we think of getting in shape and losing weight are synonymous. Everybody just needs to lose weight. There's partial truth to that. There's a lot of fat people out there. A lot of fat people. Maybe you're one of the fat people. There's a lot of fat people who absolutely do need to lose weight. Are you one of them, though? Maybe. But regardless of whether you're fat or whether you're not so fat or whether you think you're fat but you have a mental disorder so you're really not that fat, whatever, everybody needs to be doing this one thing if you want to get in shape. You need to be getting stronger at the gym. You gotta lift weights. You have to do some proper strength training. See, when I look at these before and after pictures, I don't want you to just look a little bit lighter. I want you to actually look more toned. I want you to actually build muscle. I want you to be stronger. I want you to be kind of like what I was talking about before. I want you to be more capable in the world. And just weighing a little bit less is not going to do that for you. I need you to be able to move. And move well. Be coordinated. See, this obsession with losing weight, it's really out of control. Take your scale, throw it out, or put it away. You're going to need it eventually, because I still use my scale. But what I really want you to focus on is building muscle, getting stronger. And in order to do that, here's the kicker. Here's the part that doesn't test well with focus groups. You're going to have to gain weight. Gain weight? That's going to blow people's minds. This idea of gaining weight. I have to gain weight? Well, if you want to get stronger, if you want to actually get into shape, have a good shape, have muscle. And this applies to both men and women. Women, you know that toned look you want? I mean, if you just want to look like Britney Spears and, just be a twig, if you don't already look like that, you're kind of SOL. But assuming that you're just kind of a normal shaped woman or a normal shaped man, and you see these other really in shape people. Oh, here's a good example. You see a woman with a big butt, and you're like, oh, I want a big butt too. Oh, I love the big butts. We all love big butts. Big butts are in style. Give it a decade. There'll be a decade turnaround where like really small flat butts are back in style. But right now it's big butts. You want the big butt, ladies? The glute is a muscle. It's one of the biggest muscles in the body. In fact, I think it might be the biggest muscle in the body. Well, do you want that muscle to grow and be more shapely and have a butt? You're going to have to put on some weight. The butt alone, that's going to be like maybe 2 or 3 more pounds if you're growing it properly. I don't know if it's that much. I just threw that number out there. Suffice it to say, muscle weighs a lot. What muscle weighs more than fat? You've probably heard that before, that muscle weighs more than fat. That's why muscular people or lean people, when they jump in a pool, they instantly sink and they have to paddle for their lives. And fat people just kind of bob. Yeah, that's probably the one area where fat people are more equipped for survival than skinny people. If your plane crashes in the ocean, you will last longer if you were fat. So, you got that one on us, fat people. Well done. I guess I better be careful not to be in that situation, because I'll be done for. I will sink like a rock. But yes, if you want to If you want to get stronger, if you want to actually be in shape, have a shape, have muscle, look like that person who you admire. You look at them, men or women, you look at that person, you go, oh my gosh, I want to look like that, or I want to be as muscular as that. You got to build muscle, and to build muscle, you got to eat a lot of food. And if you eat a lot of food, you're going to gain weight, but it's okay. It's for a purpose. We call it a bulking cycle. Ladies, we don't have to call it bulking if that word makes you uncomfortable. We can call it a toning cycle. We call it a toning cycle, where you eat a lot of food, and yes, you're going to put on some weight, but you're going to get stronger. That's what you need to pay attention to, is if you're getting stronger. If you're just eating a lot, but you're not strength training, you're not getting stronger, well, then you actually are just getting fat. But if you're strength training and you're eating right and you're eating a lot, you're going to get a little heftier, but you're also going to build muscle, which is the point. We have to let go of this pathological obsession with just being as small and as light as possible. Join me in our journey to be a strong and a formidable people. Ignore the scale. This is one of the things that led me to finally getting it in the gym. I finally started putting on some real muscle. I wish I discovered it sooner. I didn't discover it until I was probably close to 30. I'm 32 now. So I've only been properly strength training for maybe the last 4 years or so. And I've gotten incredible results. I was always the skinny kid growing up. I was the skinny kid in high school, in college. I'm still the skinny kid, by the way, compared to my brothers. My brothers are a lot bigger than me. Well, I mean, they're also fat, but they have potential to be so much bigger than me. You can tell by the size of their forearms. My brothers are just big, and I'm the skinny one. And it wasn't until I figured out the importance of eating a lot of food and putting on weight, suddenly my weight started going up. Suddenly I'm looking in the mirror and I've got real muscle definition. And it was cool. It was great. And then you go into a cutting cycle. You don't just keep getting bigger and bigger forever. You have to go into a cutting cycle, but we'll talk about that later. The main point is stop trying to lose weight. You don't need to lose weight. I could go on and on about this. I've got friends, I have colleagues, many people who they're just trying to lose weight. And I would say about half of them don't need to lose weight. I say half because there's the other half that they actually are, quite fat and have big bellies, and they could stand to lose some of that. But even in those cases, you still strength train. Even if you are super overweight and have way more body fat than you should, paunchy. Let's say you're paunchy. You still should be strength training. And by the way, that means that you're probably not going to lose as much weight as fast as you had hoped, but you're going to get something better. You're going to be building muscle as you take off some of the fat. So, in all cases, we're trying to get stronger. And in order to get stronger, you can't be starving yourself. You can't be not eating anything. So, figure out what you really want. Choose carefully. Stop trying to lose weight. Our goal is not to lose weight. It's to get strong. And you'll look better. I know I say we're not trying to... I say that like you have to choose between looking really good or being really strong. Nope. They're one and the same. They're synonymous. Strong, lean people are very attractive, men and women. Women who strength train, they've got toned butts and nice legs, and usually they have a tapered waist. They don't grow. Even women who do lots of strength training, they're muscular, they're toned, but they're not big like a man. They still have that actually brings out your feminine shape. I'll do a whole video on this sometime. I come into these and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to say because these aren't super well planned out. Once I get going, though, I can't stop because I'm just thinking of more stuff I want to say. Because this is all very important information that so many people just aren't getting. The monster's hitting hard. That's all I have to say about that. I'll just stop it right there. But are you smarter than the average voter? This is very important. There's a lot of people voting who don't understand our government or our systems, and it's disturbing to me. A lot of strong opinions out there attached to very silly, uninformed brains. So we've learned about the three branches of government. What are they? Can you say them before I say them? Legislative, executive, judicial. We're going to talk a little bit about the judicial today. Judicial, they're the ones who interpret the laws. The legislative branch, that includes the House of Representatives and the Senate, Congress. They're making the laws. And then the judicial branch, they're interpreting the laws, deciding if they're constitutional or not. And there's different layers to it. You have the district judges, the district courts, and I believe there's 90 or so district courts throughout the United States, and they hear federal cases, laws that apply to the federal government. There's two different courts. There's the state courts, and then there's the federal courts. The state courts are the ones who handle more local stuff, and then the federal courts handle things that would apply to a nationwide scope. So let's say you have a problem. Let's say it's two states arguing over something that would be handled by the federal courts, or you break some kind of a federal law, or it's something to do with the federal constitution. Then the federal courts, the district courts would handle that. They hear your case. They pass a judgment. If you don't like the judgment, you can go to the Court of Appeals. That's the next step up from the district courts, the Court of Appeals. And they'll determine, it's not a whole nother trial. Basically, they're just determining if everything was done correctly in the district court, if they interpreted the law correctly, whatever. If you don't like what they did, if you don't like the Court of Appeals decision, then you can take it to the Supreme Court, the biggest court in the land. So big, so supreme, there's only 9 justices who sit on it. And there's a good chance that your case isn't even going to be heard because they get thousands of cases a year and they only hear about, 60, 70, 80 cases maybe. And these are just cases that they determine are of utmost importance to the Constitution. There's 9 Supreme Court justices. There's only they only need 4 of them to agree to hear a case, and that will determine if they hear the case. And then, in order to pass a ruling, they only need 5. Only 5 judges need to rule in favor of a ruling, and now that's the supreme law of the land. That's why people freak out anytime that there's a space on the Supreme Court, and now it's time for the president to choose a new Supreme Court justice, and everybody's panicking because, oh my gosh, we need our guy on there. We need a conservative or we need a liberal, whatever. That's because they're the ones determining the law of the land. It's actually a pretty big deal. In fact, there's some arguments that the Supreme Court has become too powerful. They were supposed to be, originally, the Supreme Court was meant to be like a referee calling balls and strikes within our system, saying this is wrong, this is right. But some might argue that it has become they've become more of the supreme rulers because they're basically determining what the law is. And not everybody always agrees with their rulings. You would think after, 250 years. Yeah, 250 years. We're in the 250th anniversary of America. You would think after 250 years we would understand perfectly what our Constitution says and what's allowed, what's not allowed. Nope, it's more complicated than ever. Because, that's a different discussion. The Supreme Court, district courts, Court of Appeals, the 9 justices on the Supreme Court, they determine the law of the land. You are learned. That's all I've got for today. I'm Dan Adams. Go forth, my fitnocrats.